fixed ops in the back is definitely up. But it's a domino effect. There's not a lot of new cars to be sold. So the areas that I'm up in customer pay, probably, small increments, $10,000 to $20,000 a month. But on the internal stuff, used cars, what we used to have 30, 40 used cars sitting on a lot. Now we have 80 used cars sitting on a lot. The new cars aren't on the market. We used to have 300 new cars on the lot, and now we have 30. So you got to sell something because somebody needs to pay for the building. So they've just switched feet and they started selling used. Well, the long term of this is it's great right now. We should be having record months because people can't get rid of cars. And if they are getting rid of them, we're putting them back on the lot for sale with 80,000 miles. And the downfall is that everybody's going to get a brand new car at the same time. So there's probably going to be a 3 to 4 year window of lack of service visits other than oil changes and whatnot.
Well, obviously our pre-delivery inspection labor is down year over year. We get less cars, so we have less dollars being generated for inspections. But on the flip side, we're doing so many more used cars that, as a service department, our profitability is not impacted. The concern being, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, without those new car sales, how are we going to fare? And only time will tell as far as that is concerned. There will be less Toyota Care visits because there will be less new cars. The inventory, if it does ever come back for the new cars, as the customers with these older pre-owned vehicles have to replace them, they will choose a new Toyota versus us still not having any inventory and they need to replace their old Toyota, right. And they go to a different brand. But hopefully we don't have that worry. But it's absolutely a concern, and we're just hoping that the new car inventory will straighten itself out and we'll have more units on hand.
Well, it affects a lot of aspects. You don't have the trades anymore because we don't have the new cars. So without the trades coming in, your inventory is lower. And then in regards to fixed ops, you don't have as many cars that you're reconning through the flat rate technicians. You don't have as many as the sublet work isn't there anymore. The detail work there isn't there anymore. But on the flip side, we now have customers who are keeping their cars longer than they ever had before, and they're putting more money into the repairs than they ever used to.
Well, PDIs obviously are very low. Warranty work has gone down, and again, it's affected them because if it's a long wait or a long repair, we don't have anything to give the guest to drive.
I think they've helped. I think people are spending more money on keeping their cars. We've done a tremendous amount of lease buyouts, so when that happens, you have someone that's been bringing their car to you for 2 or 3 years while it's under lease for the routine maintenance. Now all of a sudden they're going to buy it and keep it, so you're still going to see that customer back in your service drive for more customer pay after the warranty period.
It's harder to get a new car. With inflation, prices of new cars and used cars have gone up. I feel like that customers are willing to put more money and maintain their vehicle a little longer right now. Instead of just saying, I don't want to spend $1,500 on this repair, I'm going to look at trading the car in. I think they're staying in their vehicle and actually doing those repairs. That's my feeling on it.
I think it's impacted it in a positive way. We're seeing more customers. They're spending more money. And the biggest reason is because, they don't have as much options to buy a new car or trade their car in. There's still options obviously, but you're going to find a lot more customers choosing to maintain their vehicles because they can't go buy a new one because of the lack of inventory.
The way I really see it impacting us with vehicle shortages is I find more people are repairing their vehicles. So for our side, service, that pretty much puts us in a decent spot because there's more cars for us to fix instead of these cars going to the wrecking yard. So I don't really see that as being too bad for the service end. For the sales side, pretty crappy.
Going forward will be interesting to see. So far as fixed operations go, it really has not affected fixed operations because in our state, at least, they require a very strict state inspection to be performed. So as new inventory is limited, people are still, having vehicles age out, totaling vehicles, having repair costs that exceed the value to where they have to get a new vehicle, and there's not a new vehicle, so they're buying used. So how is that helping us? Obviously we have to recondition these vehicles. They have to go through state inspections, some along those lines.
Sure.
For us, it's been, kind of a trade-off where we're not getting as much new inventory in, but we're reconditioning a lot more. The Maryland state inspection is very strict. So it's a lot of states, you have a lot of leeway in what you can and can't do. Obviously we're selling the vehicles, so the vehicle has to meet our standards for one, but the state standards are very high. So for us, if we're selling more used vehicles, we're processing more of them through the shop, and ultimately we're earning profits off of those vehicles. So it does offset the accessory funds, the PDI funds, all of those types of things that you would see with new vehicle sales. We're compensating with internal sales. When you look at just the earnings that you would get from new car sales based on your PDI and your accessory money, and now you're able to overcome that with your internal sales based on reconditioning the vehicles for a retail sale. But now you're also having your vehicles longer. Your customers are keeping their vehicles longer, so they're inevitably going to have to get repairs done, maintenance done, stuff like that. So definitely, and I think in our market especially, typically people turn cars relatively quick. They only keep them a few years. Now they're keeping them a few years longer. So in turn, there's a lot more maintenance and repair work to be done.
I mean, if you're not selling them up front, eventually it's going to catch up to you in the back, and you're not going to have those new vehicles to service on down the line. So you're just really gonna rely on people like y'all to bring us in new customers, people we haven't met before, or to try to bring back the people who we haven't seen in a while. So if we're selling 100 vehicles a month and we're running 90% retention, and you're not doing that, what you're doing normally, you've got to take different measures to make sure that you're keeping the flow of work coming in for these guys. So your RO count could be down because of the lack of vehicles getting sold up front, but the dollar per repair order is way up, because if I can't buy a new vehicle, or don't want to spend the price on a used vehicle, the inflated price, I might as well just fix what I have because I know what I have. So that's been a benefit to us.
I think there's some people out there that have decided to keep their vehicles and keep them on the road, rather than having to deal with buying a vehicle that you don't want because you can't get the one that you really do want. We are seeing some larger repairs on older vehicles as they come through.